6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Mallavarachi, assisted by Sanjay, and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. Sri Lanka and Indonesia pledge stronger bilateral ties. Over 33,500 people have been affected by the inclement weather. Landslide early warnings are issued for 9 districts including Colombo. 2 key economic transformation bills to be presented to the Parliament tomorrow. The government has declared today as a day of mourning in view of the death of the Iranian president. The State Vesak Festival will begin today in Matale. Foreign news. ICC prosecutor seeks arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Hamas leaders. In sports, it's cricket. The player auction for the Lanka Premier League 2024 cricket tournament will be held today. In a significant bilateral meeting during the 10th World Water Summit, President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Indonesian President Joko Widodo reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening the long-standing relationship between their nations. The discussions, which covered a wide range of regional and international issues, underscored the importance of collaboration in addressing global challenges. President Wickremesinghe, in his opening remarks, highlighted the historical ties between Sri Lanka and Indonesia, dating back to their joint participation in the 1956 Bandung Conference. He expressed appreciation for President Widodo's leadership in regional, international and bilateral matters, noting the importance of such summits in fostering global cooperation. A major topic of discussion was the critical issue of water management. President Wickremesinghe emphasized the importance of the World Water Summit and expressed Sri Lanka's willingness to participate in the Global Blended Financial Alliance, an initiative aimed at addressing common financial challenges faced by countries in managing water resources. He commended Indonesia for establishing a secretariat for the alliance, recognizing its significance for Sri Lanka. President Widodo focused on the economic cooperation between the two countries. He stressed the need to finalize the preferential trade agreement by the first quarter of 2025 to enhance economic ties. The Disaster Management Center says that over 33,500 people belonging to 8,974 families have been affected due to the prevailing inclement weather. The center has warned about landslides, large rockfalls and tree falls in 9 districts due to the heavy rains and strong winds that have affected many parts of the island. Accordingly, the people in the districts of Badulla, Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, Galle, Kandy, Ratnapura, Kegol and Kurunegala have been warned that they should be more alert and should evacuate immediately if any danger signs are observed. Meanwhile, the Department of Meteorology has issued an advisory for heavy rain for the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and for the Galle, Matra, Kandy, Nuwara and Mana districts. Very heavy showers above 150 millimeters are likely at some places in the western and northwestern provinces, while heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the Sabaragamuwa province and in the Galle, Matra, Kandy, Nuwara and Mana districts. The general public, fishing and the naval community are kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damage caused by temporarily localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. State Minister for Finance Shehan Semesinghe says 2 key economic transformation bills will be presented to the Parliament tomorrow. The first would be the Economic Transformation Law and the second is the Public Finance Management Act. The State Minister said that Economic Transformation Law will ensure that an economic crisis would not be repeated. He said that this act was not brought in from the IMF but by President Ranil Wickremesinghe to strengthen the economy. He said that the Public Finance Management Act is brought in taking into account some proposals made by the IMF, and this too will go a long way to strengthen the Sri Lanka economy. A high growth will also ensure that Sri Lanka would be able to insulate against some of the negative shocks of the global economy that may come Sri Lanka's way in the future. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The government has declared today as a day of mourning in view of the death of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. Accordingly, the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government, Mr. Pradeep Ryasaratne, has informed that the national flag should be placed half-mast at all state institutions today. President Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed condolences following the demise of Iranian President Dr. Said Ibrahim Raisi and Foreign Minister Hussein Amir Abdullahian. President said Sri Lanka is deeply shocked and saddened by the tragic incident. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena has also issued a condolence message on the death of the Iranian President and Foreign Minister in a tragic helicopter crash. The Premier said the late President's services for the people of Iran, as well as to strengthen bilateral relations with Sri Lanka, are legendary. All schools in the Puttalam district will be closed today as well due to the continuing adverse weather conditions, the Education Director of the Northwestern Province said. The schools in the district were instructed to remain closed today in consideration of the prevailing inclement weather experienced in the district. It's reported that heavy rainfall has resulted in several schools in the district being inundated. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala.
The State Vesak Festival will be held in Matale under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The festival will begin today under the patronage of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, and President Wickremesinghe will attend on the 23rd of May. This year's Vesak Festival will be on the theme, "Let's not look at what others have done, but what we have done." The opening ceremony will be held at the Dharmaraja Pirivena premises in Matale. Meanwhile, a special program will be carried out to introduce the concept of mindfulness to the government servants in line with the Buddha Rashmi Vesak festival. Accordingly, SLBC Sandahamsara will be held at 1:30 p.m. today at the Information Department. The sermon will be delivered by Venerable Pothuhara Mahinda Sirithero. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, along with other dignitaries, will grace the occasion. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala.
In Watchlight this morning, Senior Advisor to the President on National Security and Chief of Presidential Staff, Mr. Sagala Ratnayaka, urged relevant officials to take immediate action to mitigate the risk of dengue in Colombo, particularly with the onset of the rainy season. He also advised the preparation of a special awareness program to educate school children and parents through the Ministry of Education during the Dengue Prevention Week, which will run from the 26th of May to the 1st of June, and that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
The headlines first. ICC prosecutor seeks arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Hamas leaders. South Africa's top court bars Zuma from standing in election. And Delhi sizzles as temperature crosses the 45 degrees Celsius mark. The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court is seeking arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Hamas leaders in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar. Karim Khan is also seeking the arrest warrants of Hamas leaders Ismail Haniyeh, Mohammed al-Masri and Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. Khan says he has reasonable grounds to believe the men bear responsibility for war crimes and crimes against humanity. In the Hamas leaders' case, the alleged crimes begin from at least 7th of October 2023. In the Israeli leaders' case, from at least 8th of October 2023. South Africa's highest court has barred former President Jacob Zuma from running for parliament in next week's general election. The Constitutional Court ruled that his 15-month prison sentence for contempt of court disqualified him. Mr. Zuma was convicted in 2021 for refusing to testify at an inquiry investigating corruption during his presidency, which ended in 2018. He has been campaigning under the banner of the newly formed Mkhonto Wesizwe Party after falling out with the governing African National Congress. Northern India, including capital Delhi, is reeling under a fierce heat wave with temperatures soaring above 45 degrees Celsius over the weekend. Yesterday, a district in Delhi recorded a temperature of 47.8 degrees Celsius, the highest in the country this season. The Weather Department has said the heat spell is likely to continue this week. The Indian Meteorological Department has predicted the country is likely to experience longer and more intense heat waves this year. And back to the headlines of the world news. ICC prosecutor seeks arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Hamas leaders. South Africa's top court bars Zuma from standing in election, and Delhi sizzles as temperatures cross the 45 degrees Celsius mark. And that ends world news.
Development news.
Sri Lanka is about to receive 100-octane premium petrol known as SP100 rating fuel, which helps enhance the performance of vehicles, particularly high-end luxury cars and bikes. A senior official from the Indian Oil Corporation, IOC, said the fuel stock is about to be received. This will be the first ever fuel produced with the highest octane rating to be released to Sri Lanka by the IOC. And that came to you in Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
The player auction for the upcoming Lanka Premier League 2024 cricket tournament will be held today in Colombo. Sri Lanka Cricket says 420 cricketers are to be presented for the player auction, out of which 154 are from Sri Lanka and the remaining 266 are overseas players. Franchise owners have been permitted to retain or enter into individual contracts with players prior to the player auction. Teams are allowed to do so under two methods for a maximum of 6 cricketers. Teams will have a $500,000 budget at the player auction. Players can be retained by franchises by deducting their value from the $500,000 allocated for the player auction and entering into the auction with the remaining money. And that was sports news.
Go ekatiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Atlas Auxilia Company Private Limited has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Education to provide the standardized professional training required for preschool teachers in early childhood development. This proactive step aims to reshape the Sri Lankan education system by professionally training educators specializing in early childhood development, thereby creating future-ready youth for Sri Lanka. Early childhood is where one learns the importance of facing challenges, including sociability, environment consciousness, and acts of kindness and compassion to ensure the proper development. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekatiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news. The Union Bank opened a highly automated digital zone in Rajagiriya as part of the bank's digital transformation initiatives to expand smart banking convenience to customers. Union Bank digital zones were also opened at the bank's head office and the Peta branch recently. And that was economic news.
Weather report.
The southwest monsoon conditions are gradually establishing over the island, hence the prevailing showery and windy conditions will continue. Cloudy skies can be expected over most parts of the island. Showers or thunderstorms will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Matra districts. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in the Galle, Matra, Kandy and Nuwara districts. Several spells of showers will also occur in the northern and north-central provinces. Strong winds about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the island. And before we end this news broadcast, the headlines once again. Sri Lanka and Indonesia pledge stronger bilateral ties. Over 33,500 people have been affected by the inclement weather. Landslide early warnings are issued for 9 districts, including Colombo. 2 key economic transformation bills to be presented to Parliament tomorrow. The government has declared today as a day of mourning in view of the death of the Iranian president. The State Vesak Festival will begin today in Matale. Foreign news, ICC prosecutor seeks arrest warrants for Netanyahu and the Hamas leaders. And sports is cricket. The player auction for the Lanka Premier League 2024 cricket tournament will be held today. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And it's over to Soundhi Thaum on the other side. A very good morning to you, Soundhi, and it's over to you.